Good morning, and thank you for attending Police Headquarters. I'm Constable Carolyn DeClute, and here today to introduce Detective Steve Henkel, who will be updating the media on homicide number 34 and 35 of 2016.
Thank you, Carolyn, and good morning. I'd like to thank the media for coming here today, and I'd like to extend a warm welcome to the Bokma and to the Matthews family for also attending this media conference. On Friday, July the 1st, 2016, at 5:12 a.m., the Toronto Police Service Communications Centre received multiple 911 calls for a shooting in the area of College and Augusta in the City of Toronto. Upon arrival, witnesses directed emergency services personnel to the second floor of 355 College Street, where Justin Bokma and Lefranc Matthews were located, suffering from gunshot wounds. Police and emergency services personnel immediately initiated life-saving measures. Justin Bokma was pronounced deceased at the scene. Lefranc Matthews was transported to a trauma unit and was pronounced deceased upon arrival. Two other shooting victims were also identified. A 45-year-old man was transported to a local trauma center by emergency service personnel at the scene, while a 34-year-old male made his own way to the hospital. Their injuries were non-life-threatening. At the time of this incident, the second floor of 355 College Street was being operated as an after-hours club called Retox. At the time of the shooting, there were approximately 40 to 50 patrons within this club. We've had little participation from those patrons. The suspects involved in this incident are described as black males, mid to late 20s, approximately 5'9", skinny build, hair in thin braids to his shoulders. That's suspect number one. Suspect number two is described as male black, dark complexion, in his 30s, approximately 5'6", described as short, skinny build with large head and teeth, some of which are crooked at the front. He has a noticeably deformity to the right arm and hand, which is considered smaller to his left and skinnier. The arm is still usable. He also goes by the street name or nickname of Mo. The third male is described as male black, medium complexion, early 20s to early 30s, approximately 5'9", with a medium build and clean shaven. We believe that these men had been at this club earlier that evening. We also believe that these males had been at this club previously, and this was not their first time. We also believe that these individuals were there to ply their trade, which was the selling of illicit narcotics. We also believe that these individuals were known to some of the patrons, as well as the ownership of the club. And we believe that these males continue to frequent after-hours clubs within the City of Toronto. I'm requesting the public's assistance in identifying these men wanted in this homicide. I am also seeking the public's assistance in identifying the ownership of this after-hours club called Retox. I would like to make a direct appeal to those who are currently operating or working at the after-hours establishments who may know who these individuals are to contact me directly at the Homicide Squad at 416-808-7400, or if you choose to remain anonymous, through Crime Stoppers at 416-222-TIPS. Today, I'm pleased to announce that Chief Mark Saunders has approved the posting of a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the persons responsible for the deaths of Justin Bokma and Lefranc Matthews. Questions? I believe to this day they are frequenting after-hours clubs.
What makes you think that?
Again, it's part of our investigation. We believe they're still out there frequenting the clubs. We believe that they were there to sell drugs, and we believe that they're still frequenting these after-hours clubs.
You mentioned that the owner of this particular after-hours club had some contact with these individuals before as well?
We believe this wasn't their first time at this club, that they had been patrons there previously. And we believe that the ownership of this club had knowledge as to who these males were, as well as some of the patrons there. Somebody out there knows who these individuals are.
Do you think that these three guys there
like colleagues? They work together, or are they competing drug dealers?
There was a group of 5 to 6 males that showed up that night. These are the 3 descriptions that have surfaced through our investigation.
Why do you think the shots were fired?
Again, that's part of the investigation I don't want to get into.
What's the biggest holdup in trying to get closer to finding out who they are? There were many people in the club that night. You say you have information they could have been to other clubs. What is stalling this investigation right now for you?
It's an after-hours club. It's an underground location. Whether people don't want to be identified because they're frequenting an after-hours club, it's everything about the establishment is illegal, essentially. And again, whether you were there drinking after hours or not, what we want is witnesses to this homicide.
Do you think that these 2 men or the 2 surviving victims were targeted?
I can advise that 3 of the 4 were actually employees of the club.
Which 3?
Mr. Bokma, Mr. Matthews, and then one of the surviving victims.
Do you believe that these the shooters had been kicked out of the club earlier?
There was some indication that there was an altercation at the club, which may have led to the shooting.
And at what time did the altercation happen at?
Well, the actual shooting was around 5:12 a.m.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying that you think there was an altercation that happened like immediately before the shots were fired? This wasn't something that happened hours earlier, they left and came back?
Again, we haven't heard of that, but again, I'm appealing to witnesses who may give us a better narrative to what may have happened earlier that evening.
Any other questions?
What reassurances can you give to people who might have knowledge about these murders, that they will be protected if they come forward?
Again, if there's any concerns for someone's safety, and again, I'm hoping that the posting of a $50,000 reward will lead people to come out of the shadows. And again, if there's any safety concerns, contact me directly at the Homicide Squad and I can address those concerns. And if you really are fearful and choose to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers or use one of the social media apps so that you can remain anonymous. But I'd like to speak to people directly. We need witnesses. We've had very little participation from the patrons at the location. And I'm hoping that the posting of a reward will stimulate some and reinvigorate the investigation.
Did you say how many people were there at the time?
40 to 50 people.
And how many people have given statements to you guys?
Very little.
Like, are we talking less than 5 or less than 10?
Maybe about 10 people may have come forward and assisted in some way.
Go ahead.
Since they were, in your mind, selling drugs, is there any indication this could be part of a gang, or are you looking at that?
You mean the suspects themselves?
Yeah.
Again, I have no indication. We have very little information with respects to the suspect themselves. Any other questions?
I'm wondering, I understand that the Bokma and Matthews families, you guys are willing to speak with us after. Would you prefer to go up to the microphone?
No, we're going to do it after.
Sure? Yeah? Okay. Probably be easier.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes today's conference. Thank you for attending. If you'd like to speak with the family after, then please come see me.